straight. Jye Edwards wants to come wide. He's up to the shoulder of Stu McSwain. Edwards is in the lead. He goes past the Australian record holder. This is going to be huge. Only 10 metres to go for Edwards, and he gets a qualifier. 3:33.99. McSwain second, Hunter in third place. But you get the title. You get the Olympic qualifier. You get a meet record. That's the fastest Australian title for 1500 metres. 3:33.99. Unbelievable.
Awesome, man. What's going on up in Canberra at the moment anyway? You finished the long run or whatever you had on the schedule for this morning, obviously?
Yeah. So we're out at, we just run from Stromlo most Sundays. Just sort of meet out there, and, there's a few different loops that we do. Of late for me, I've only been running, I don't think I've run more than 16K in, I don't know, 6 months. Like, I just haven't really done a proper long run, but it seems to work for me. So yeah, I only did about 16, 17K this morning, and that's probably about as long as it'll get, at least during track season. But yeah, we had a good group out there this morning. It's starting to get quite fresh here, so I think it was like 0 or 1 degrees this morning. Like, it's just, but it's quite a nice morning. Like, once it sort of heats up a bit and the sun comes out, it's quite beautiful. So that's sort of what's been happening this morning. Like, I got back actually in Canberra Friday afternoon, so just spent a bit of time back at home on the coast.
Yeah, beautiful, man. When you say back at home on the coast, whereabouts on the coast were you? Yeah,
so I grew up in Shell Harbour, which is about half an hour south of Wollongong. And yeah, I was actually born in Canberra, and then I moved there when I was about 2, and I've done all my growing up there. Went to school, both primary and high school, and then I moved here straight after high school in 2017 to train with Dick, and the rest is history pretty much. Like,
that's crazy, man. It's such a good move by you. It's crazy. Like, there's a few names on the Australian coaching circuit who just stand out, and Dick's obviously he's built a bloody good reputation for himself. As I just said to you before we started recording, that I had a good mate, Cale Simons, who was a gun, and he moved up to Canberra and started just dropping some massive times in about, I want to say, like, it might have been 2013, 2014. And he was training with like Lisa Corrigan, and I feel like every name that he mentioned that was up there was just a bit of a gun. Is it still the same thing, man? Like, who's rocking with you at the moment?
Yeah, so we've got quite a good squad. Like, we've had obviously a few come and go, but right now at the moment it's myself and Rory Hunter, who got third in the 1500. Who's his comeback's been incredible. I'll talk about that later. But we've also got James Nipris, obviously the steeple champ. And there's just a handful of other guys like Josh Johnson, Aaron Parker, a lot of guys who are sort of up and coming. And yeah, we've got a really good group, overall. And there's quite a good group of girls there too, which is really awesome. And we've had a few more that have sort of come and gone. Like, we had Jordan Gusman before he went overseas a few years back, and another guy, Chris Hamer, who's one of the most talented athletes I've ever seen.
Mate, he's a freak. He's a freak. I used to do a bit of running with him down here, and he I reckon has the. Have you ever run at Ferny Creek in Victoria?
I haven't, but I've heard many stories.
It's bloody hilly, man. Like, I can't remember the exact numbers, but he went out after a race that he was disappointed on. And if you ever get out to Ferny, it's hilly. It's not where you go to run fast. It's just got the reputation of being like all right, this is just tough man. It's tough man territory. Yep. And I think the likes of, I want to say like Rob DiCastella, or I'm not sure if I've got that right, but there was a few guns back in the day that sort of built the reputation. And man, Chris Hamer, it must have been 10 years ago now, had a shock of a race in his opinion. So he probably ran 28 minutes for 10K, and he went out there and he did a 3 hour. He ran 30 Ks, I think, and he hit stop on his watch, and he was running at sub 3 hour marathon pace. And I remember saying, dude, like, what are you doing? He's like, I just wanted to get it out of my system. He's like, I was so tempted just to run the whole marathon just to say that I'd done it. But like, whenever I hear that name, that's a story that comes to my mind. I didn't realize he was still rocking, man. But he's up there in Canberra with you guys now.
Well, yeah, he is. He's not really rocking so much anymore. We haven't seen him for a couple of years, unfortunately. He was sort of here in the early days when I first started. But I'm so glad you know who he is, because he's one of the best guys, one of the hardest trainers. I've haven't done much with him, but having a bit to do with him in the early days was so good. And like you said, like, some of the sessions he's done is unbelievable. We've got this in the winter. We do a Stromlo hill climb. So Mount Stromlo, we sort of run up the road, and it's about a 3.6k from top to bottom, and just like a pretty gradual climb, like kind of gets a bit steep. And a lot of the boys know, like, if you're in pretty good shape, when I say pretty good shape, I'd say quite good shape. You're running low 12 minutes, and if you're running under 12, you're doing very well. And one day Chris Hamer did it, and he ran it twice and got driven down both times under 12 minutes. Like,
oh my god,
just unbelievable. Yeah,
it doesn't surprise me, man. Yeah, it's funny how some people just have that reputation for being able to just smack themselves. Like, man, I could be referring to guys who are. I'm 34, so I've got what are you, 23?
23, yeah.
Yeah, so I got a good few years on you. I remember 34-year-olds talking to me when I was 23. I was like, I'm an old man. Like, I have no idea who you're talking about. But there's another bloke, Ash Watson, who I think he's doing a lot of ultra marathons now. And in my mind, he's a Victorian boy. He used to train with sort of Collis Birmingham's group, and Stewie as well. And man, he always had a reputation for being the kind of bloke he could just whack himself in a training session. And it kind of bloke that just sort of leave your jaw on the floor, isn't it? So and I don't know Nipper really well, man, but he struck me as the kind of bloke who wouldn't go too lightly on himself in a session. He seems to be just looking at the last 300 meters of his race last weekend, you can sort of get a bit of an idea of the kind of athlete that he is. He's just got that ability to sort of delve into places that a lot of people might be a little bit afraid to go down into. But is he the same kind of category? Like, is he a pretty hard worker, Nipper?
Yeah, absolutely. Nipper's a very hard worker. He trains hard, and he's one of the guys who, when he runs well, it's just so deserved. Like, and I think his greatest asset that I've noticed over the years, he's such a good racer, and no matter what, he'll always just throw it all on the line and get everything out of himself in a race, like we saw on the weekend. And for him, like, you just know that no matter what, like that 3,000 meter steeplechase, he'll run to the line with everything he's got and not a meter further. And, you know, he's often put himself in a bit of a bad way after some races, but because he's just tried so hard. But yeah, he's done really well. And his biggest thing as well is he's just had so many years of good unbroken training. I think he was talking the other day, and he's just had, I think, it was over a year of 100-mile weeks, like, consistently. And that's pretty unbelievable. And he's had probably 8 years or more of, you know, barely any injuries, or maybe a niggle at best. But that sort of training is why he's like he is. And he's a great guy to train with, and an even better bloke.
Yeah, man. Well, I ran my 3K PB at the New South Wales 3K Champs back in 2010, and I had the race of my life, and I ran about 8:10, which at the time was an 8-second PB. And mate, huge, like, speaking of a big runner, the Nipper, I don't reckon he would have broken 8 at that time. I don't even know if he would have been the favourite going into that race, but he finished that race in about 7:55, just cleaned up the field. And wow. It is amazing, like, so much. I've been out of the sport now for about 6 years, so to see a bloke like him still rocking strong, it's amazing how much sort of strength and durability you can build in your legs just by rocking up day after day. So, like, 10 years is what I remember, but I know he would have been around 10 years before that, putting the hard work as well. But it blows my mind, man. Like, a year of, what did you say, 100-mile weeks is a pretty intimidating sort of thing to line up against. So, yeah, a real good bloke to have in your group. But mate, I'm interested to tap into so much of what you're up to as well at the moment, and feel free just to chuck in your 2 cents worth. I hate real interviewee chats, man. So it's more just a throw back and forth. But yeah, mate, you've burst onto the scene a little bit this year, and I was thinking the other day, I was like, I can't believe I hadn't heard of this guy in 2020. I'd been a little bit distant from the track scene, and then I saw your name pop up a few times in the last couple of months. I thought, holy shit! And then I watched you at Nationals for a minute. It took me a minute to realise who was sitting on Stewie, and I was commentating the race just in my house, and my wife, who has no interest in track and field, was watching you going, who the hell is this bloke? Because she knew Stewie. But to see a bloke like yourself just not only hanging on but coming past at the end must be a sort of surreal feeling to just throw yourself onto a world stage, essentially with a couple of big performances this year. Like, what's the process been like for you, man? How are you feeling? Because it's a nice feeling once you stop just sort of dreaming about where you would like to be, and you start running not only alongside but past some of the athletes that are pumping clearly.
Yeah. So no, it's first of all, like, it's been a hectic few months really, like particularly the last couple. I've had some very good races, obviously, like in Melbourne, like lucky to get over there down to Melbourne. Had a couple of sort of good races to just have a good hit out, especially Box Hill was really good. And yeah, Nationals it was a big shock. Like it was funny. I ran the heat terribly. Tactically I was just pretty bad. I got checked heaps of times. I sort of ran that race. We ran 3:42. I think one of the quickest heats apart from Stewie. And yeah, just like sort of after that race, I just wasn't real confident. Like it just wasn't a great run. Which I haven't been exposed to that sort of running in a long time. Like it's been more so just, sort of on from the gun or relatively strung out. So, yeah, and then the national final obviously rolled around and we were pretty sure, like coming into it, I was about 95% sure Stewie would take it out from the gun, just given how he likes to run and given that would probably be his best chance. And particularly the way he ran the heat, I thought this is probably how it's going to go. And yeah, 100 meters in, I saw him he got a decent start and maybe just starting to go around the bend. He just had a slight couple meter gap on the field. And that's when I knew. I just thought, look, I either got to get on or sit back. And I was kind of surprised that no one else from the squad did. So I thought, well, look, I've come here to run quick. It's nationals. You might as well have a crack. And if you fall off, then so be it. So yeah, just made the decision to jump on. And I was very lucky. Like it was, all the stars just seemed to align. I guess there was a little bit of breeze around, a bit of wind on the back straight, I think it was, and Stewie would have copped a bit of that. So, if it's a dead still day, he runs away with it. But yeah, I thought the hardest part's just going to be being there with 150, 200 to go, which I thought if I can get there and still be there, I'm a chance. But yeah, I was just very lucky the way it all played out, and I was just so lucky. I've got the confidence of my coach Dick to, he told me like, just get on, like you can do it, you can handle that pace. So it's what I did, and yeah, it's just how it all went. Really, it was all a bit of a blur to be honest, but yeah, very lucky to take that one.
That's awesome, man. So yeah, before the race, you said you'd anticipated a fairly quick kind of a run, which is funny as well because nationals historically, well, maybe not historically, but you think of a big final, like whether it's on an Australian scene or an international scene, to be a little bit more tactical. So from a spectator's point of view, I was so pumped to watch Stewie just stick it to the field a little bit. But Dick, before the race, he sort of sat you down and just said, be ready for whatever comes. Like it was, because what I was impressed about was once I saw the time and I realised who you were running around, I thought far out, like it takes a lot of confidence to go through 800 in 152 or 153 or whatever it is that you guys were running at. So was there, like, what was the headspace between the heat and the final? Because you said you weren't overly confident finishing the heat. But mate, you look like the most confident bloke running around, and you look very comfortable. I'm interested to talk to you about your technique and your training and stuff around your technique as well, because the whole way, though I'm sure you were breathing, you looked like you had a little bit of Al Garouge about you. It just didn't seem to faze you, the fact that you were pumping at a pretty quick pace. But yeah, what was the headspace between the heat and the final, and how did you switch into to race mode just to be ready to go with that pace?
Yeah, so like I was saying, like the heat just wasn't smooth as I would have liked. Like it was, just for me, I just didn't run tactically very well. But yeah, I just would have, I wouldn't say I lost confidence, but I just would have liked it to go a bit smoother than it did. But at the end of the day, you reset. You got 2 days to recover, and you go again. And I knew that was all good. But like I say, the final, I was pretty sure it was going to play out the way it did. I wasn't certain, but I was, we were pretty confident that's kind of how it would be. Given Stewie's strength, you'd think that he'd try and string it out. And like I was saying with the heat run, the way he ran that, it was almost like he was sort of practicing for it. The thing that did surprise me, I thought that, like one or two of his teammates might have gone on, which I was kind of thinking maybe I'll sit in third or something. But and when Dick was giving me instructions prior just to say, I want you up in, second and just hold on, I thought, well, I don't know about that. I was sort of second guessing it. And then before I know it, 150 meters in, I just sort of committed, and that was it. I was trying hard not to look at the clock, actually. I just wanted to focus on looking at his back and sort of not letting it get too far away. But I had a fair idea of how quick it was, but I was just trying hard not to look at the clock. So, just not to be aware of how quick it was. But like you were saying, it's so good because I've just gotten so many messages from people like they loved that race and the way it went, and just the guts from Stewie McSweyn, who is no doubt the best distance runner, in my opinion, that we've ever seen, and just how versatile he is over all the distances. And I can appreciate that he's still a much better 1500 meter runner than I am. I was just lucky I was sort of there for the toe, but to get a sit on a guy who is absolutely world class and, in my opinion, one of the best in the world, it's very good. And I think it's just great for Australian distance running in general, middle distance running. Like, I've never seen 1500 meter running in particular so strong, and we've already got 4 guys qualified, still 2 months left, and I wouldn't be surprised if we have half a dozen by the time that's up. So it's exciting times, that's for sure.
It is, man. Actually, just before we hit record, I was having a look through Instagram and I saw Ollie Hoare had just posted another big run. What he'd busted out about another. I think he ran 3:33 as well over in the States. Was he in Eugene? Do you know? Yeah.
It was the new stadium there I saw. And once again, that's so well deserved. I think from Ollie, he's raced so well this season. He was obviously pumped out that huge 3:32 indoors. So to see him run, really well like that again, like he's just cleaning up some very elite fields as well. So that's awesome for us, for Australia. And yeah, I think it's just so well deserved coming from him, because works hard and good guy.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So one of the things I was interested, you mentioned it a couple of times now, and I was curious about this as well, and it's certainly no disrespect, because I love blokes like Rambo and Gregson and Geordie Williams and the blokes who finished up behind you guys, but it did surprise me a little bit, like yourself, that not more of them just went with the pace. It almost, from a spectator's point of view, and it's so easy to be an armchair critic, man, I understand, but it looked as though the rest of the field were happy just to go, okay, well, Stewie's going to take the title, let's just race ourselves and see how we go there. Do you know, have you had a chat to the boys about what everyone was thinking, or were they anticipating on just running out of steam, or what was the story there? Because it certainly got me by surprise as well, just how much of a gap you boys opened up on the rest of the field. Even sort of 300 metres in, I was like, hang on a sec, what's everyone thinking? And by that stage, it's too late to really do much about it, isn't it? It's like, all right, well, they've got a 20-metre lead. The race is against ourselves.
Exactly right. Like, that's why I was so happy I sort of got on and got behind him straight away. But yeah, I was a bit surprised. Like, I think Stewie really is a cut above the rest, everybody. On the middle distance scene, as shown by his 3:30. He's got 3 seconds on most of us guys. But I think you just got to sort of have the mindset, I guess, that everybody's beatable. Like, it was to go out there, he ran a 3:40 from the front, looked comfy as a couple of days before. He's done a bit of racing recently. Like, obviously took a lot of that lead. He's into the wind a bit, copped a bit of that. It's not easy. And let's be real, like, he's still run 3:34 from the front in a national final. It's unbelievable. So I was a bit surprised, like you said, that his teammates didn't jump on. But I guess the problem for them, which is probably hard, is they would train with him all the time and probably see how well he trains and just think, I can't keep up with that, I guess. So it's probably lucky that, I don't know, I didn't really have anything to lose, and at the end of the day, it just panned out perfectly for me, which was pretty lucky. But it was a bit of a shock, really, like how it all played out.
Yeah, man. One thing I liked about the race, which I've watched a couple of times, was I was impressed with you looked like, even when you crossed the finish line, you didn't look too surprised about the fact you'd won. And I thought I wanted to pick your brains about this a little bit, because you're obviously a bloke who, and this comes with, I guess, a couple of victories up your sleeve. Like, you've had a couple of really nice runs this season, which I'm sure shot the confidence through the roof. But when I saw you run across the race, there was no shock on your face. There was no over-the-top celebration. It was just a nice little fist pump, like, job done. But the vibe I got, and I could be reading too far into it, the vibe I got from watching you come across that line was you sort of just looked like you belonged, and it was like, okay, well, it was a step in the right direction, but you look like a man who, it's like a team finishing, I don't know if you watch the AFL, but a team finishing the prelim final with a clean win, and they understand that the job's not done. It's a really good step in the right direction. But the goal for you is obviously Tokyo, all going well. But you look like a man who's confident there could be a little bit more up your sleeve. And I was just interested to pick your brain a little bit on that.
Yeah, so, it was a huge shock. I was saying to a few people, I almost felt a bit bad about, how it went out, just sitting on him for 1,400 meters and going by. Like, it just didn't feel right. Like,
Yeah, but what else are you going to do when they're running 152?
Yeah, I know.
I would not feel bad at all.
I do think, in saying that, like, look, I was the one who sort of, I guess, gave myself a shot, and that's how Stewie had to run it to try and win. So I guess, I had to get out there and have a crack, which was really good. But yeah, like, it was, like I said, it kind of felt bad in a way, because in my mind, he's the rightful, he deserves to win the national title just with how good he is. But at the end of the day, you gotta race what's in front of you, and that's what makes it so tough. But yeah, it was a shock. Like, I'm not a big, I guess, celebrator after races. I don't know, especially, I don't want to go gloating in front of Stewie and stuff as well, because just respect him too much. So I was over the moon. It didn't even really sink in. Like, even though I knew in my head it was a qualifier and I'd got that auto nomination, I still didn't really believe it. I guess it's pretty, like, cliche that they say it and it doesn't sink in, but it really didn't, and I still think it's taken its time to sink in. But yeah, just lucky for me, everything just lined up and fell into place perfectly for that, which is where you kind of want to be peaking in a way domestically. But I do feel like there's more up the sleeve, without trying to sound too arrogant. Like, I feel like there is more there if I can keep training well and whatnot. Yeah, I'm confident that might be able to go a bit quicker, but we'll wait and see. Hopefully, get in some good races overseas and go from there.
Yeah, very nice, man. Very nice. Dude, I'm keen to pick your brain. I've just put out a post this morning asking any of the Relaxed Running fans to shoot through some messages, and I've got plenty. They sort of break down into categories, which they're categories which are going to be no surprise to you. But I was interested to pick your brain about your training and stuff like that. Obviously, you say your Sunday long runs, you're not doing too much more than 17Ks. But are you so obviously 1500 is the main focus for you at the moment. I don't know if you're running 8s or anything, but what kind of training, like what does a week of training look like for you at the moment? How are you balancing sort of your running with strength and conditioning and recovery and stuff like that, without giving away too many secrets? Because obviously they're working, but I'm really keen to pick your brain to sort of know, what the sessions that you're doing look like, and how you're sort of managing the body in between all that.
Yeah, well, like I'm not too secretive about anything I do. Like, I'm on Strava and all that, and I believe in what I do. A lot of it's just what Dick tells me, but there's just been a lot of trial and error over the last few years, and we've had to change a lot of things given my injury history over the past sort of 4 or 5 years, and yeah, it's just like it's a lot of toying around and seeing what works, but. I've been fortunate enough I've been up at Perisher 3 times this year, which I think has made a huge difference for me. I was up there for 3 weeks in January, which I actually got injured up there after a week, just hurt my calf, which was out. It was about 2 weeks out, but I still stayed up there the whole time, got the benefits of the altitude, just living up there. And I cross-trained really hard in that 2 weeks, went down to Jindabyne, was at the gym every day, just twice a day doing stuff. So worked hard to stay fit, and then we went back up in February, which I did a lot of the altitude training with my training partner Rory Hunter, who he's come back this season. As I was saying earlier, he's just been unbelievable. He came back from an issue with his lower leg, sort of soleus/Achilles area, which he was about to get surgery on at the end of January, and then all of a sudden, sort of early Feb, it just came back and started to feel better, and he went from that to barely running a step to 2 months later, maybe nearly 3 months later, he was in a national final and comes third and just improved out of sight. So that was inspirational to watch. I've shared a lot of time up on the mountain with him. But yeah, like for us, we're pretty standard. We do our Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday sessions, and particularly leading the nationals, it was a lot of, I guess, sort of higher level aerobic and a bit of anaerobic work as well. Some pretty tough sessions in there, but we don't do anything too crazily different. Like our shorter, quicker days are on the Tuesday on the track. 400s, 300s, 200s, that sort of thing. It mixes and matches a bit. We do some sort of longer sub-threshold work on the Thursday, maybe. Might break it up a bit as well. Often at Stromlo, which is just as good as it gets out there on the beautiful lush grass. And then Saturday at Stromlo as well, where we'll do K reps or a variety of. We might do certain reps harder or build into it, something like that. But yeah, other than that, it hasn't been too different from anything. I've just cut the mileage back a bit. Like during the week, I won't run probably more than 10k in one hit, but I might break it up and do 10k and then 5 in the other or something like that. I often have Fridays completely off, or at least I did for a while, just to fully refresh. And as I was saying, Sundays hasn't been more than about 10 mile since probably for a long time now. And it's just what seemed to work for me. I'm a bit low on mileage, probably only run, between 100 to 110k a week, 120 max. But yeah, just that sort of lower mileage, more quality seems to work for me. And that's just what we've sort of had to play around with over the last couple of years.
Yeah, sure. So you're saying you've had some injury trouble over the last few years. I had no idea that injury had even been a part of your history, and I guess that's a problem with a bloke like yourself who just shoots onto the scene. I'm playing catch up. So, what's been the story there, man? Have they been a couple of repetitive injuries, or you got a little bit of a variety to work with?
Yeah, a bit of a variety. So it all started actually like I was not a bad junior. Like I won the under-20 national juniors when I was. What was that? It was the start of 2017, and I started to sort of hit my straps then. That was when I first moved to Canberra, and I'd run 3:41 as an 18-year-old, so that wasn't bad. I think I ran a 4-minute 0.2 mile, 4-minute 0.2, 1 mile, and was just off going sub 4 there at 18, which would have been great, but just missed out on that unfortunately. And then, I kind of just pushed through. I think it was early March, sort of late Feb, early March is when those races happened. And the end of March was Nationals. And I started to get a sore Achilles around then. And there was about 3 weeks to go to Nationals. I was just, I don't know, I thought I had my best shot at, I guess, getting a title. So I sort of pushed through a bit of pain, just thinking it was a bit of, tendonitis, tendinopathy type stuff. Didn't think too much of it. Pushed through, ran the Nationals heat and final of the juniors, was lucky enough to win that, and then I did the heat of the Opens a few days later, and I just scraped into the final on time. I wasn't in a good way, and I just couldn't walk after that race. And then since then I was just struggling with what I thought was some sort of Achilles tendinopathy for about 7 months through to the end of the year, November, and it seemed to get a little bit better here and there, and go backwards, and I had no idea what was going on. Turned out the whole time I had a partial tear in my Achilles, in the insertional sort of area down low, and then I had to get surgery in November of 2017, and then just since then I probably couldn't run for, I don't know, a good 6 to 12 months. Like it was just pretty uncomfortable. Had a lot of bony ache around that area. And then basically right up until, I guess, last year, I was barely able to string together maybe, 3-4 months max, and then I just get injured again. And the worst part was it wasn't anything, it wasn't the same pattern or the same injury. It was everywhere. It was high and low in the legs, left and right. I had stress reactions. I had knee issues. I had hips. I had everything. And I don't know whether it was sort of that Achilles being a bit achy still that was playing a part in, causing a bit of an imbalance maybe. I don't know. But, it was a very rough, 3 or 4 months. So frustrating more than anything because I couldn't get into some decent shape in that 3 or 4 months, and then it just all come crumbling down again, and I have to start from scratch. And then you start thinking in your head, you think, well, is it worth it anymore? Like it's so hard. Like you can't even run, train hard without getting injured. So it was pretty brutal, but I sort of fought through that. Luckily, I had youth on my side, which I always knew. I don't think for me, I don't think quitting was ever an option. I just love the sport too much. So just had to be patient, which I've done, and I've just been lucky that sort of I've had a pretty good run since sort of the end of last year, midway through last year, and the rest is history really. I've just been so lucky that this season has fallen into place so well, and the races have gone the way they have.
Yeah, that's good, man. It's so nice to see you hitting a little bit of uninterrupted training. But have you got any idea about what was causing the trouble for you? Because as I said earlier, like, you seem like such a smooth mover. You know how you watch some athletes run and you go, okay, well, I can see how there's going to be a few potential issues because they just look awkward and clunky, but you look as though you just hit a nice rhythm. So it is surprising to me, just as an outsider, to hear that you've struggled a little bit with injury. But yeah, what were the causes? Have you got any sort of more definite answers that have led to some of the breakdowns?
Yeah, in terms of the Achilles or like all the other ones?
Man, just all of the above. I was just curious to know if there was sort of a standout factor, or whether just the reduction in the load that you were putting on your body has been the real breakthrough for you.
Yeah, so it's interesting because I'll start off with the Achilles. Like, that sort of happened. I've got because I've got a high arch. My calcaneus bone sort of like is tilted up, and the kind of the top corner of it was quite sharp, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. If you're looking at it from the side, and that was kind of pushing into my Achilles tendon from the inside, and I think that was kind of a cause to sort of, I guess assist in tearing the Achilles. That was how that first started, and then from then, like, I don't know, like I think that because I had such a bony ache in my calcaneus for so long, I think that I was still running on it, and I was just probably at only 80-85%, trying to train on it and stuff. And I think maybe just that might have caused an imbalance because I'm just not running properly, and I think that threw out a lot of things for me. But yeah, like, I think it's been interesting since then. Like, we've been trying to work out different things, especially like when I strained my calf earlier this year. Excuse me. When I strained my calf, we were trying to figure out what the go behind that was, and we still don't really know. Like, maybe my biomechanics, like Dick, my coach, thought my foot might have been doing a weird slipping thing as I'm running around the bend, and there's been a couple of sort of theories about different things, and I'm still not really 100% sure. But I guess we've played around with a lot, and I've wear different shoes now. Wear the big thick Hockers, just the biggest clompers I could get. Like, just thickest shoes as possible. I wear those for all my runs. And the beauty of the shoe technology these days, like your Next Percents and your Dragonflies and all that, is just how much better you pull up. Like, I bought a pair of Next Percents recently, a couple of months ago, and they're pretty much all I train in now, because I just, not only do you feel so good in them, but I just recover and pull up so much better than normal flats. So being a big toe runner, that really helps. So just a few different things like that. Playing around with the mileage a bit, I've lowered that a little bit, and it seemed to be going better. Of course, there's still different things. Like, I had a couple of knee issues, 2018 and 2019, like patellofemoral, and I think that just comes from weaknesses and tightness around the sort of hips and quads and hemis area. So again, that's just sort of, whether that was because of the Achilles or not, I don't know. I don't think it was. I think that was just general sort of injury stuff, where if you got weaknesses, that's what tends to happen. So for me, it's just been a multitude of things, but it's good to finally have sort of some pretty unbroken training, and not quite there yet, but getting closer, I think, every day with finding what's right for me and what works.
Yeah, awesome, man. And who are you seeing? Like, have you got an exercise physiologist that you go to and get all this stuff organised by? Because I know we've had a bloke on here, a bloke called John Quinn, who I'm not sure if you know who he is, but he's a really highly regarded exercise physiologist, and just an all-round great bloke who he deals with like a lot of muscular imbalances and stuff as well. But have you got someone that you're already lined up with that's keeping you in shape?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people over the years, actually. There's probably, I'd say, 3 major ones, which is I see a guy called Pete Garbett from Enhanced Healthcare here in Canberra. He's like a chiro sort of guy, but he's done a lot for me. Like, I think some stuff was a bit out of line. I was also doing some some biomechanics testing running, and we found that one of my feet, particularly, I think it was my right, was just like, when it was landing, it was kind of like just too far out to the side, and we thought that might have been contributing to the calf strains that I've had. And we've just tried to fix that. He's done a lot, which it's helped quite a bit. It's straightened up a fair bit. So like we say, it's hard to get your running biomechanics perfect, but if you can sort of, I guess, fix it a little bit and try and help it as much as possible, that definitely helps. So he's been a huge help for me. And I've also seen Craig Purdom, who used to be the head physio of the AIS. I've seen him for a couple of years now. He's incredible. He's so good. Couldn't speak highly enough of him. And I also have a sports doc who I used to see back home on the coast in Wollongong, who he looks after the Socceroos. His name's Mark Jones. He's seen me quite a bit over the last few years, and he's helped me out with a lot of things. So got quite a few guys there. But yeah, I'm so lucky to see such good sports docs and stuff here in Canberra, because they've just helped me so much over the years. And for my sake, I hope I don't have to see them too much more, because I've seen plenty of them over the last 4 years.
Yeah, I can imagine, man.
Yeah.
Dude, I heard you mention both the Hockers and the Next Percent, but I was surprised. Has any brand locked you down yet, or what's the go there? You've obviously, you surely got a couple of sponsors knocking at your door.
Yeah, I've had a little bit of interest, like nothing concrete yet, and nothing really, worth like talking about really. Like I've had a couple of people like, I guess, show a bit of interest, but yeah, nothing yet. I did sign with Saucony back in 2017 as a junior briefly, but unfortunately I couldn't do any racing for him because I was injured. So I signed it at the time when I was going okay, and then was injured shortly after, and which lasted the whole year, unfortunately. But yeah, apart from that, nothing yet. Which hopefully it comes along. But yeah, you also got to pick what's best for you, I guess.
Yeah. Man, I was actually, you mentioned Geordie Guzman earlier in the chat, and I was doing a little bit of running because he lived. I've just recently moved down to sort of the seaside here in Victoria. I'm living in a place called Queenscliff. But until recently, I was in Hawthorn. And before Geordie moved back to America, he was about 300 metres from my door. So we spent a little bit of time catching up. And I was really interested talking to him because he was saying, he's like, dude, I am paraphrasing here, but we were essentially saying that for track and field, you're the top runner in Australia. If you're the top footballer in the AFL, it's amazing the amount of money that they start throwing at you with brands and with sponsorship, and obviously the exposure and all that. The advertising's a little bit easier through it, but it's frustrating for runners because in almost any other sport, you're the top performer in your country, and there's some real big paychecks coming through. But I think he went over there because I think he's officially running for Malta now, if I've got that country right, and I think they were looking after him just to run for them rather than... and I've also got a feeling that he signed an American contract with Adidas because I think the sponsorship money is a little bit more impressive over there. Like guys like Drew Hunter, I think, is on a pretty good deal with Adidas. But I don't know, as Australian athletes, have you got the opportunity to sort of deal with American agents and try and get signed over there? Because I don't know how it works exactly, but it just in terms of a financial strategy, it seems like a better move than just signing with someone here in Australia who are willing to give you $25 for a win.
yeah, exactly right. $100 fuel voucher or something. Yeah, it's a good point because I think like the US, they've just got it all over us in terms of money and what they do with the sport. A great example is Jessica Hull, who I'm good friends with. She's with Nike US, and she would not be getting like what she gets with them. She would not be getting here in Australia. I don't think so. Which is obviously so well deserved what she gets. And yeah, it's hard, but it's like you were saying before, like the top footballers and stuff and what they get. I'll use the Stewie example again because I've heard a couple of figures come out. I've no idea if they're true, but what he's had contract wise, and he's seriously like probably the best runner we've ever had. Like as far as sporting goes, he's one of the best in the world. It's an individual sport. It's not even a team sport. Like it's, I just feel like he's so far ahead of. I think he's the best sportsman in the country, just about like up there anyway. And probably being a bit biased, but
I've got you back there, brother. Maybe we're both biased, but I'm gonna second that statement.
And it's just like I don't know, like I just feel like he should be looked after the rest of his life, just about like I don't know. I just feel like he should be getting a lot more than he does. I don't know exactly what he gets, but I feel like it wouldn't be what he's worth anyway. So it is hard because like I was saying, the US just has it all over us, and that's why we see a lot of people go over there, like your Ollie Hawes and Jess and Charlie Hunter and all that. That's why they go over there. It's kind of the risk you run, I guess, but it's obviously paid off. And it's tough because it's a brutal sport, and you don't always make it, I guess. So you just got to do what you can.
Yeah, man, it's funny. Because Stewie's such a bloody good bloke. I ran with him up with his junior coach was Rod Griffin, who was my coach as well here in Victoria, and he was about 14 when we were running together, and all through his career, I feel like he hasn't changed. Like when he was a 14-year-old kid, he was a lovely bloke, really good guy, humble, just got the job done. Went about like there was no sort of, hey, look at how good I am. But at that stage, there was no need for it because he wasn't a real standout. Then when he hit about, like even recently, like he's, as you say, he's one of the best athletes in the country, and there's still you just get the vibe. He's still doing his teaching degree. He's just a good bloke. Yep. It's like that running doesn't seem to hold too much headspace for him. He's not based on how valuable Stewie McSweyn is, just based on how fast he's running. But dude, with all that said, I want to send him a couple of Conor McGregor videos and just start saying, mate, just start before the start. Like, just put out a tweet just saying you're going to beat the shit out of Jye if he beats you this week, just to get a little bit of attention. Oh. And but it's a funny one, man. It's just it used to frustrate me as well because I would watch him watch him, and I reckon. I'm not sure, but I would love to be able to ask him how much he made the year he beat Bekele when he was rocking around with a blonde mullet. Because there was something about a blonde mullet who the news outlets were just so stoked to get on board with. And even, mate, your mate, Geordie, I've been appreciating what he's getting up to on Instagram lately. I've noticed a real change in not only appearance, but in Instagram posts. He's got the rings, he's gone the rock and roll look, he's gone the rock and roll athlete. I thought, you know what? Regardless of what you say, marketability, I like where you're coming from. Or everyone just needs to get real pretty and ask Jen Gregson to give him a few tips because she's got an Instagram following which is pretty impressive, and I'm sure she'd be doing better than a lot of top athletes just based on her ability to get some attention to her Instagram page. Yeah,
that's it. Like you said, a lot of these people are marketable, and it's great for the sport. It's interesting comment. Like about Jordan, he's gone definitely a bit of a different avenue, but if it works, and it works. So
it suits him to a T as well, I reckon, because his Instagram handle. I was laughing the other day because it's like misfit, rock and roller, loser, and I was like, oh, bro, I love your style, but I've sort of had enough conversation with him now to know that he for whatever reason, like his Instagram page, I just feel like suits his personality to a T.
Yeah, 100%. Like I knew him pretty well. He was, always sort of a funny character here, and said some very funny things. A lot of it I just wouldn't repeat, but he's just that type of character, and he's just come into his own. I guess it's not quite the norm as you'd say, but it's he's been his own guy, and fair enough. I think a lot of the Americans as well, they lap it up, I think. So why not? Yeah,
it's very true, man. So what's the plan for you? What's the I've been trying to keep a little bit of one eye on what's going on with Tokyo at the moment. And is it still, it's a little bit of a balancing act as to if it's going to go ahead at the time they think it's going to go ahead, or so obviously the main goal at the moment is just to make sure you're in fine form for that. But have you got any plans to get over to Europe? Are there any international meets taking place that you're going to be able to set foot in?
Yeah, so just with like Tokyo, like you said, it's just so hard at the moment. It's just all so, I don't know. Obviously they're trying so hard to make it happen, and I guess as athletes you just got to train and prepare like it is, which we're all pretty confident, I guess, it's going to happen, but you sort of got to be in a way. It was funny, I actually posted on Instagram the other day and sort of said that I felt like I didn't want to be too arrogant about it, but I felt like I had to make a post, so I did that. And after I posted it, I thought, gee, I hope I don't sort of not eating my words and it gets cancelled or something like that, and that'd be awkward. But it's you just got to do what you can, and I guess the thing is everyone's in the same boat, so you've just got to get it as ready as possible. And what makes it so hard is because obviously got a quarantine coming back to Australia, you've obviously got to get over to Europe, and if you're going to head over, you have to stay there, I guess, for the duration and until the game. So we're sort of currently figuring all that out. For me, I've heard that I've got accepted into a couple of diamond leagues early
Oh,
on,
sweet,
which
man.
is
How
awesome.
crazy is it a crazy headspace? Because it's weird, man. Like that's
Yeah.
something as a junior I dreamt about. And I can't imagine what the headspace would be just transitioning from like an aspiring junior to just getting the tick of, and a well-deserved tick next to your name to line up on a diamond league. But yeah, is that just a buzz, man?
Oh, an absolute buzz. I'm a huge fan of the sport in general, and I've watched the diamond leagues every year. I watch every one. If I'm not up at stupid o'clock watching it, I tape them all. So, yeah, me and my old man love them, and yeah, it's just like we've just watched them for so long, and then to think that I could potentially be competing at one, it's nuts. I really can't believe it. So, hopefully it all goes to plan. It's hard to know, but like it's hard to set it up perfectly because I want to race these good races, but I also want to look further towards late July, early August when the games are, and you want to try and peak there as much as possible. But yeah, I think just for me it'll be so good experience wise. Like it's my first time, I guess, kind of on that world stage, and running against so many guys that I've just watched for so long, and you watch them, I guess, almost week in week out on the diamond leagues, running so well. But to be a part of it's just going to be nuts. But yeah, our plan is I'm going to hope to go to Europe. Probably it depends if I do race these couple of diamond leagues. I think I will at the end of May, if all goes to plan. And then we're thinking about basing ourselves in Europe, possibly getting a bit of altitude in, like Font Romeu or something. Not 100% sure on all that yet, but there's not a hell of a lot of races in June, at least Diamond League wise anyway. So we're hoping to, get some good training in between, and then maybe a couple of races sort of early July, and then probably straight over to Japan. But yeah, there's still a lot to figure out. There's a lot up in the air, and it's always worrying too because I know Nipper was telling me the other day if you get COVID 14 days prior to flying into the games, you get thrown out of the team. So you got to be so careful, and you really don't want to get stuck in a country either. So it's just a logistical nightmare, really. Like
I feel like the last 12 months, it's been such an interesting part of the conversation because I feel like from an athlete's point of view, it's especially a professional athlete's point of view, it plays such a big impact on your your planning, your training, your headspace, and just knowing, just trying to train for a race that you're not sure is going to happen is interesting. But I feel like you've got a little bit of a Stewie vibe from the 50 minutes that we've spoken, where you seemed like a fairly relaxed customer, and I feel like it's the fairly relaxed customers that seem to handle these situations really well. But do you know which diamond leagues you're going to be running at this stage?
Yeah, so I apparently I've been invited to both Doha and Gateshead, which are the first two. I think Gateshead is a new one. And I've also been told that I'm a possibility of getting into the Dream Mile at Oslo.
Oh, bro.
Of course,
mate, that is awesome.
But yeah, that's pretty unreal. Yeah, it's hard to fathom really, but it is, like you say, I think about being a relaxed customer. Like for me, it's just been very lucky, like for it all to fall into place. Like a lot has aligned. COVID for me, as bad as it is, and as terrible as the whole pandemic's been for everyone. Like for me, athletics wise, it's been a bit of a blessing. Olympics wasn't even in the picture 12 months ago, and yeah, for the extra year to happen, and even the end of last year, like it was kind of there, but it was so far in the distance that I didn't even really think about it. So it's just all fallen into place so well, and for it all to be, I guess, just to happen so quickly within 2 or 3 months, it's hard to wrap my head around. And so many people keep asking me questions about Tokyo. I'm just like, I have no idea. Like I haven't even thought about it. So it's only been the last week or so it's kind of become real. So yeah, mind blowing, really.
Yeah, awesome, man, awesome. Dude, outside of actually, no, before we move on, I was going to ask you, how are you lining up the races in Europe? Because I know a lot of Badeau's athletes, Badeau sort of doubles as a coach and agent. Have you got an agent that's looking after you, or just because you've won the national title, you've hit some form, race organisers sort of just on the scout for top athletes from different nations?
Yeah, we're kind of in the middle of working all that out, actually. Like, again, like, because it's just all happened so quickly, it's just, there's all this new information getting thrown, and I haven't fully locked in an agent just yet, but, we're looking at a couple, and, I got to go off Dick's opinion and what Dick thinks. We've had talks with a couple of people, and we're just trying to work all that out now. So, it's a tough decision, of course, and you just sort of want what's best for you, and races and contracts and all that. You just want to do and go with the best person that you can. So, still in the middle of working all that out, and hopefully I can soon, and just sort of focus on the running part, and that part can sort of sort itself out with with Dick and his important opinion.
Yeah, awesome, man. And outside of running, man, like what are you doing? I watched one of Morgan McDonald's YouTube videos a couple of weeks ago, because I don't know if you've seen his channel, but I'm just a fan of the bloke. I like the guy. He's been on the podcast, and since then, I don't know what, I just got a soft spot for him. He just gives me really good vibes. And I watched his first YouTube video, and he was talking about how, he goes, I love being a professional athlete. It's awesome. But he goes, sometimes it's boring. He's like, I don't really know what to do. So that's why I'm starting this channel. But mate, what are you up to when you're not out on the track, and for the couple of hours of training that you're doing a day? Are you studying, or what are you doing with your downtime?
Yeah, so I obviously moved to Canberra at the start of 2017 to train with Dick, and that's when I started my sports science degree here at University of Canberra. So I've obviously, with training, I've just done that a bit slower, and I'm actually at the start, doing my last subject now before I finish. So I don't know if I'll do anything further, but that's what's sort of taken up a lot of my time the last few years. So I'll be happy to get that done. That's just a Bachelor of Sport and Exercise Science. So that should be completed by the end of this semester, which is only a few weeks away. And then, I've just worked casually. Just had a job at Kmart for a while. I haven't worked there in 6 months, to be honest, which has sort of been good, because I've actually been able to train like a bit of an elite athlete, really, just focus on the training and the study and all that. But this year particularly, we've done a fair bit of traveling and whatnot. 3 trips to Perisher, Melbourne, and looks like I'm going to be going up to Perisher again. So it seemed to work well. So it's other than that, just keeping busy, I guess, with different things. Like, I hang out with the guys here a lot, just go and get coffee and talk rubbish and do all that, which is pretty standard. But I might need some sort of hobby. Like, I've always kind of wanted something, and I don't think I'll be a YouTube channel creator, but I mean, I don't know if I've got the personality for it, but I do love watching stuff like that, especially Morgan. He's a bit of a character, so
he's a character, man. It's so funny because he seems shy. Like, he seems shy, and then you start talking to him, you're like, oh, I've been sucker punched. I don't think you're shy at all. He's quiet, and I feel like you can easily mislead him for being shy. And then when he speaks, he's got so much confidence. I was like, bro, you've just surprised me in the best way. I remember I did a podcast with him. It was probably like 6 or 7 months ago now. And I got to the end of it. I didn't want to hang up. I was like, mate, I just want to be your mate. Let's keep talking. And I didn't tell him that. I just hung up before I started getting too fangirly. But he's a really good bloke, man.
Yeah, great guy. And I haven't talked to Morgan Heath, but just like you just know just how he is. Pretty down to earth. Such a good runner, and he has been for so many years. I just used to watch him dominate juniors every year, and it's not often that they actually carry it on and keep going into the senior ranks. And being a professional athlete now is awesome, and I love what he's doing.
Yeah, he's one of those guys, isn't he? Just every time he steps foot on a track, you know it's going to be a solid race. Like, there's a few people like that. Like, I'd put Stewie in that category. Mate, as of the start of this season, you're in that category. McDonald's. Yeah. It's a unique thing. Like, I feel like the ultimate example of it up until sort of 2016 was Matt Centrowitz. Like, I don't know if you followed him much, but mate, and Nick Willis. Every time these boys toe the line, you just know there's like, it's going to be probably, it doesn't necessarily need to be fast, but if it is, they're okay. If it's slow, they're okay. They just never seem to get themselves too flustered. Jacob Ingebrigtsen is another one. Just the last 12 months, just he runs with so much confidence, and as you would, like, you start to develop the playbook of times that he's run now, and it'd be hard not to line up and be confident. But it's a pretty cool talent to have. So that's one thing that I really admire about a bloke like him as well. But I didn't realise he was such a gun as a junior. You said he was. I thought it was just more of a senior. He'd burst into the ranks. But under 18s he was flying as well, was he?
Yeah. Back in the younger days, he was flying. Like, I went to a few national cross countries and just national championships and stuff like that. And yeah, he's just absolutely dominated everyone. Like I remember I was at Launceston for cross country back in 2013, I think it was, and I think I ran about 18th, which I was pretty stoked with at the time. And he just absolutely blew away the field. Like I think they had 6K, or it was 2 laps anyway. I just remember the first lap he was just like 100 meters in front and just blew him out of the water. So, but in saying that, he still kicked on really well and on the edge of making another team. So I really hope he gets to qualify, which I saw he had a race a couple of days ago and blew it out of the water. Like I think closed in 55.
What was that, man? What did you run?
Yeah, 13:21 I think it was.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, flying. Like I'm pretty sure it was a 55 last lap. I just saw it real briefly, but yeah, like just as strong as ever. Like you said, he's always out there, just working hard, making sure it's honest. So he's a star, that guy.
Yeah, man. Have you got many plans to step up the distance as well in the future? Are you pretty happy with the 15 at the moment? Like, what are your times around the 1500? I don't know. Do you run many 8s? Have you run many 3s? Or
yeah, so it's funny. Like it's pretty funny because I've been so injured the last couple of years. I've had limited races. It's mainly been 15s and a couple of miles. I've never run a 5K on the track. I'm pretty sure my fastest 5K, I did a threshold around Strongline about 14:40 something. That's the quickest I've ever done. Never raced it, so that I want to do definitely. I don't think I'd go, super well. I think I'm slightly more speed based than strength, like your Stewies and all that. But yeah, I would like to do one just out of interest. I ran a 3K in November last year at the New South Wales 3K champs. I think I ran 7:56, which was it was a good PB, pretty good. I feel like now there's definitely more there, but obviously it's always hard because they're at that sort of time of year when you're not in, I guess, peak shape. In my 800, well, honestly, it's probably unofficially what I went through in last Sunday because it's officially 152.5, and I think we read through it about that the other day. So but that's from 2015. So that needs an update as well, and I really want to get into an 8 and try and patch that up a bit.
Man, it's funny you say that because if you look at, I don't know if this is still true, but when it was IAAF that you looked at, I would look at Stewie's personal best history, and so it would say 13:04 or 13:05, and then it was 3:30, and then for 800 meters it's 2:01, which is from about 6 years ago up here. 6 years ago, sorry, probably about 10 years ago up in Ballarat at the local track there. So I always found that really funny to know that he was going through sort of 10 seconds faster through 15 than what his official PB is recognised as. Yeah.
I'd love to see what Stewie would do too. Like I know he's like so strength based, but he has got a bit of toe, and I'd be very interested to see what he could do over.
What would you pick him at? I could imagine him busting it. I would not surprise me if he came out and ran like a 146 high or a 47 or something.
It really wouldn't. Like for a guy who goes through in 152 odd, like he'd have to run comfortably under 150, like 147 at least. But it's hard to say. I'd be very interested to see it. He's a guy who he wouldn't surprise you if he just put something crazy out there.
Do you have much to do with him? I'd love you to whisper in his ear. I'll have to send him a little Instagram message to go, Stewie, look, you've come up in the podcast today. We need you to do an 800 time trial just next weekend or whenever you can.
Yeah, just to set the record straight. Nah, I don't, unfortunately. Like, I only just met him. That's the first time I ever raced him on the weekend.
What a shocking way to introduce yourself to someone.
Yeah, I know. I know, it was terrible. Just got so much respect for the guy. So to race him was incredible. He's just such a good guy too. Like, just said it was so well deserved and all that, and I had a bit of a chat to him and Gregson and all that. They were unreal after the race, like just so sort of supportive and all that. So it's really good to have such quality guys in the middle distance running scene, but also just so down to earth as well. Like it's just great for the sport and great for us as 1500 meter runners.
Awesome, man. And dude, are you doing much work in the gym? What does your strength and conditioning program look like?
Yeah, so weirdly enough, I haven't done anything for like a month, but obviously that sort of happens throughout racing, I guess. Just been a bit slack on that, but yeah, I generally train in the gym at least twice a week. I used to be pretty big on it when I was younger, but I think I was a bit too over the top with that. So I just try to do general strength stuff at least twice a week. You know, just your general runners type stuff. You know, your glutes, your hammies, your quads. Particularly for me, I like to do a lot of lower leg and calf stuff. You know, your hips. I don't do. When I was younger, I used to do like upper body work. I don't even know why, but I just did it because I like to. But now, you know,
still feels good to have a good set of pecs, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, for some reason, I remember I used to want to run. When I was like 12, I wanted to run quick, but I wanted to have big arms too. So I got no idea why, but yeah, like obviously all that sort of standard stuff, your core. But I try to get at least twice a week, if I can. If not, 3 times. Get a few plyometrics done here and there. And you know, easy days, and a few strides as well. Just that, which is pretty general, I think, for distance runners. But yeah, I do think the strength training is quite important, particularly for me, who I've had a lot of issues over the years, and I like it just for injury prevention more than anything. So yeah, I'll put a lot of emphasis on that, and I find that pretty vital for training.
Yeah, awesome, man. Well, dude, hey, we've gone for an hour too. I told you about an hour, so I might wrap things up, let you enjoy your afternoon. But, mate, it's good to officially meet you. I'm so glad you I think I messaged you on Instagram about 4 minutes after your race finished, and I thought, mate, he's going to be far too cool for school now. I'm not getting a response to this, but we're stoked that you lined up. Thanks for figuring out Skype as well for me, man. It saved me having to figure out how to send you a Zoom link.
Zoom, yeah. Yeah, I'd barely use any of this stuff, like even Zoom. So I was like, you know, easy done. We're pretty quick to set up. But nah, thanks heaps for inviting us on. Like, it's, you know, an absolute pleasure. I love talking to the guys, and guys like you who, you know, get the sport out there. And I got nothing but respect and time for anyone who tries to get, you know, bring light to the sport, which with this sport you don't get much of it. So any sort of exposure is great for us, and it's an absolute pleasure to do it.